Hey everybody, Console Collector here. For today's video, I want to talk about game rooms and collections. We all know how great it is to have a big game room or collection, but I want to talk about the things that suck about it, things I dislike about my large game room and collection. Now don't get me wrong, I love my collection, I'm very thankful for it, and I love my game room. It's my little slice of heaven, my place to unwind and relax after a tough day or week. But it's not all sunshine and rainbows, you guys. There are some negatives to it. So we're going to cover those in today's video. First thing I dislike about big game rooms and collections is cataloging. That means keeping track of everything in the game room. The way I catalog my collection is through this really awesome app called GameEye. I used to just do it in a notepad, and before you knew it, that was so full, and I had like literally 50 different notepads explaining what my collection had and the values. It was just a real mess. So when they started bringing out apps for game collections, I was really happy. I tried a few before GameEye, and I really didn't like them. I gotta say GameEye is definitely the best, especially for a console collector like myself. GameEye is so cool because you can do consoles, you can do accessories, you can do toys to life like Amiibos and Skylanders, you can do print media like strategy guides and Nintendo Powers, and of course you can do your games. I do have to admit that cataloging is a lot easier with these apps nowadays, but in the early days of game collecting, it was really tough. Well, with that said, it can still be a pain to catalog everything. It's something I just don't really enjoy about big collections. Fortunately, now I'm kind of caught up, so when I get something new, I put it into the app right away. But when I first got this app, it was not fun. I spent hours and days and weeks just going through and cataloging the entire collection, and that was honestly zero fun. I do know a few collectors and gamers that don't catalog their collection, and for me personally, before I cataloged mine, the biggest problem I had was I'd be out in the wild and I'd see a game and I couldn't remember if I had it. Yeah, I was like, do I have this game? Having this app now on my phone, like constantly, you can just look up and see, hey, I already have it. And that's a real nice convenience with cataloging through an app. I still struggle a little bit with other types of media like movies and DVDs. I'll be out in the thrift store, see a movie that I want to pick up, and I can't remember if I had it. So I end up picking it up, not wanting to leave it, and then it turns out I have a double. I really wish there was an app like this for other types of media like movies and VHS, DVDs, stuff like that. If there's one piece of advice you should follow from cataloging your collection is get the initial brunt of it done and then keep on top of it. Sometimes in the past I'd be a little bit lazy and I wouldn't catalog a game right away, and before I knew it I had 20, 30 games to enter, and that can take a lot of time when you gotta do it all at once. So just follow this advice and keep up on your cataloging. When you get a game, enter it in and stay on top of it. Another thing that can be a pain with a big game room or collection is organization. So the thing about organization is it's tough. Games and consoles and accessories and figures, things like that, all come in different shapes and sizes. So everything doesn't just fit into place like you would hope. It can be a real struggle to keep a large collection nice and organized without looking like a hoarder house or a huge mess. I know for me personally, when I would set up a game room at a new place, it would always be kind of a struggle. You'd put something up, live with it for a couple of days, you look at it and like, I'm not feeling it. You got to take it apart, move it, change it around. It can be a real struggle to get everything looking nice. I take pride in the presentation of my game room. I don't want to just throw a bunch of games on a shelf and be like, here you go. I want my game room to pop. I want it to be enjoyable, have that fun museum kind of look to it, while still being organized, not looking like a complete disaster. Another thing about organizing when you have a big game room or collection like myself is when something new comes in. Sometimes you just don't have the room for it, and you're forced to reorganize or change things to make room. Of course, the easy option to fix that problem is don't get any more new stuff, right? Well, that's a lot easier said than done. I'm sure you guys know that struggle. Do I need this? Do I want this? Of course, you guys always want to build your collection some more. And me, I do a lot of pickups. And yeah, organizing the new pickups into the current collection can be a real struggle and something that I don't enjoy. My biggest problem I've had recently is I'll get a new Xbox 360 or a PS3 game, and I already alphabetized that whole collection. So when you pick up a new game, it's like, oh great, now I gotta fit this in there somehow. So before you know it, you're pulling games off your shelf or out of a drawer, you're messing up the alphabetized order just to get a couple games in there. It can just be a real headache and a real chaotic mess. Honestly, I got so tired of doing that, so I kind of came up with a little temporary solution. I started a drawer that I'll just put all the games in there that I've recently got for the consoles I'm currently collecting for. So like 360, PS3, a little bit of Wii, some DS, 3DS. That way everything goes in that drawer. It's still put away and it's organized, but it's not going into the main collection, at least for now. It's definitely cut back on the frustration on reorganizing my collection to fit in a few games. So organizing can be fun, it can be frustrating, it can be rewarding. I honestly just don't like doing it. I'd rather be playing my games instead of trying to organize them or make room for them in the game room. So now let's talk about backlog. I'm sure every gamer, every collector has a backlog of games. Even if you're not a huge collector, even the smallest collectors I know have backlogs of games. Having a collection of this caliber for myself definitely makes my backlog enormous. I try to play every game, and when it comes in, at least test it, see if it's something I'm into, and I'll pick up a game here and there, and with every intention to add it to the backlog and play it. We all know that struggle of the backlog. Pick up that game, I'm going to get to it, and before you know it, it's been 2-3 years, you haven't even touched it since you tested it. And I'm really guilty of that. As you can see, I have a lot of games, over 3,000 games, which I know there's collectors that have more games than me, but 3,000 for one person alone, that's kind of insane. I've kind of figured out that I might be, an elder or dead by the time I get to play all these games. I do have every intention of playing them, but I just find at my current stage in life, I don't have time to play them. It's unfortunate. We're all adulting, most of us have families or we work full time. We just don't get the time to play games like we used to as kids. I really don't like having such a large backlog, and a lot of people say, if you're not going to play it, get rid of it. The way I look at of having all these games is, yes, I want to get to playing them, but it's more of choices as well, right? A struggle we all may have is you look around your game room and you're like, what to play, what to play. It's nice to have those options. If I downsized and only had, a couple hundred games, that's still a lot, but I like to have those options. Some days I want to play something retro. Some days I want to play something modern. Some days I want to play a handheld. Some days I just want to chill and watch YouTube or a movie. It's nice to have those options. So yes, I have a huge backlog, but I'm going to get around to it eventually. At least that's what we always tell ourselves, right? We're going to eventually get around to that backlog. Another thing about backlogs that I think we're all guilty of is we go buy new games and then we play those instead of our backlog. And that's definitely something I'm guilty of. I know that. Sometimes I just feel bad about it too. Honestly, I don't like having a huge backlog and these games deserve to be played. So I dislike that about the huge game rooms and collections because your backlog is just so massive. Now we're going to talk about one of my least favorite things about having such a large collection and game room, the cleaning aspect of it. A lot of people watch my full game room tour and they always say like, how do you keep this place clean? It looks immaculate. Oh, it's a struggle. We're going to get into that. It is not an easy thing to maintain and clean a huge game room like mine. My biggest enemy in this game room is dust. Yes, that dust. I love to have stuff on display and it looks nice, but boy, the dust, I tell you, every little nook and cranny, it gets dust. My cleaning routine is I go through once a week and I dust everything. I'll give it a vacuum. I'll use some glass cleaner, clean up all the TV monitors, all the glass shelves, things like that. But even that, we're all human, we miss things. Like, take a look here. You can literally just see dust on crevices I don't get to all the time. If I actually went through every little inch and nook and cranny of this game room once a week, it would take hours. It literally takes me probably 2 to 3 hours to just do a normal clean on it. But to move everything, like I said, and dust, you just can't get it all. So I'd say maybe once a month or maybe once every couple months, I'll do like a full, like half day, really good clean. I'll always spend that extra time before a game night as well doing a full clean. It's just so time consuming. And even when you think it's good, like when I climb up on my Amiibo kiosk, I look up there and I haven't dusted that in maybe 2-3 weeks, way up there, or I just reach up and try to dust it, it's still dusty. Like, you just can't battle it, man. It's just too much. Dusting is a battle on its own, But what about actual usage messes? Like people walking through, people having snacks and drinks down here. Like my kids, they'll make a mess down here. I'll have a game night and I'll clean it right before the game night or the day before, and after the game night, it's messy. You got like fuzz and stuff from people's socks on your carpet. You got some chips that fell on the ground. People leave their sticky drink cups and soda cans lying around. So that's another thing, is trying to keep the place clean. Because my game room gets used. On a busy game night, we got 10, 15 people down here. It definitely sees some love and gets dirty. The day after clean of a game night can definitely be the biggest struggle. Things aren't as dusty, but they're messy. And I spend a good, hour or two just cleaning up that, vacuuming again, wiping down all the surfaces, especially controllers. I like to clean every controller after a game night. Some people, had a snack, touch the controllers, which I hate, or someone had some greasy hands, or someone spilt some soda or some juice on a tabletop or something. Just cleaning is definitely one of the biggest hassles and least favorite things of mine for a large game room and collection. Finally, let's talk about moving. Moving a large game room or collection can be an absolute nightmare. I'm just going to start off by saying I am so glad I don't have to move my game room anymore. And I bet my friends and family are glad we don't have to move my game room anymore, because it was an absolute nightmare to do it. Time consuming, lots of heavy stuff. Just moving sucks in general. Try moving a large game room like this. Oh, it's not fun. So I've actually had 3 game rooms since I've started YouTube, and I've had to move from 2 of them, and it's exhausting. I have to rent a truck and then do, 2, 3 loads of the moving day. I do this thing called pre-move, where I have to move stuff like a week or 2 before the big move, because there's just so much. So having a huge game room is awesome, but moving it really does suck. I'm sure you guys with big collections, even medium collections, know that moving a game room or collection is no fun. I know personally, I hated moving expensive stuff. Some of this older stuff's fragile. You're worried about it getting bumped around and not working during the move. It's just, there's no fun thing about moving a big game room. I don't know how else to put it. It just plain sucks. There's really no advice I can even give about moving a game room, other than like pack all your high-end stuff in really good safe boxes and maybe move that stuff in a car or a van or something, not in a big moving truck. Like I know when I took a lot of my really expensive and rare consoles, they all went in the back seat of my car. They didn't go in the moving truck, because you don't want that stuff damaged. And I know the last time I moved in this game room, it took me nearly a month just to pack everything up. Like, just moving with these big game rooms and collections, there's just all negatives. I can't actually think of anything positive to say about it. The packing sucks, the moving sucks, the unpacking sucks, and I could just go on all day about moving into a new house and setting up everything. I have dozens of consoles that I have set up to multiple TVs, and just that alone is a wiring nightmare. Like, look at this photo here, guys. I'm just trying to wire everything up, get everything set up, and it's no fun. Like, again, just moving is zero fun. I do have to say, though, now that I own my dream house and have my dream game room and I don't have to move anymore, I'm glad it's done, and I'm not going to miss it at all. It took me nearly a year to set up my dream game room to the point where I'm happy. I'd spend countless nights moving stuff around and resetting everything up. You get all this stuff wired up, hooked up, ready to go test it. Something doesn't work. Then you got to go trace the wires. Is it a power cable? Is it a bad AV connection? Is the TV plugged in? Did I hit the power bar switch on? So many different variations when setting up a new game room after a big move. Another thing that really sucks with a big game room and collection when moving is if you have arcades or kiosks or a ton of CRTs like me. You better have some nice friends and some strong friends, because that can be a real pain as well. It's one thing to move just boxes, but when you add in kiosks and store displays and arcades, the real fun is just beginning. You can ask any of my friends about what the move was like in my current place, and they'll all say the same thing. Those dang kiosks and arcades, they were just backbreaking. So I do just have to give a quick shout out to all my friends and family that helped me move all that stuff, because I know it wasn't easy. So shout out to you guys. So finally, on moving, there isn't really much advice I can give other than if you have the opportunity to buy a place where you can move in for the final time, set up and organize, and don't have to mess with it anymore, that's the greatest feeling in the world. I get such joy knowing I can come down to my game room and see that I don't have to move this stuff anymore. I can just enjoy it. And again, that's just such a great feeling. No stress, don't have to worry about any of that ever again. Alright, so that's a few things that I dislike about having a large game collection and game room. What are some things you guys dislike about your game collections or game rooms? I'd love to hear it down below, because we all know the struggles of having a collection like this. Maybe you have the same struggles I do, or maybe some that I don't know of. Again, just let us know down below. It's nice to hear from other collectors and gamers about the struggles of having a large game room or collection. Alright, that's going to wrap up today's video. Be sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, and share. I'd really appreciate it. You can follow me on social media. The information is in the description below. I want to thank everybody for watching. I am the Console Collector, and until the next video, happy gaming.